It's time for a new coffee games. Coffee games, coffee games. We're going to do another coffee games. Coffee games, I trim my beard. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another coffee games. Wow, that's so cool. I'm so glad you're here. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? Well, hey, we'll get to that in a second. Stop it, Adam. But we're here. We're back with another week. We just had the PS5 events last week, was it? Yeah, it was last week. Something like that. But we just had it. Now we got the price of all the consoles. Woohoo. Great, awesome. But I want to sit here and talk to you about which console should you buy. Yeah, we're going to discuss that for a little bit in this week's coffee games. Wow. But yeah, before we get started, are you doing good? Are you doing great? How's your week going? I hope it's doing fantastic. Well, if you're here, definitely click that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when all of these coffee games come out, as well as our weekly podcast, the Games and Groceries podcast. And if you get to the end of this video and you enjoyed what you watched, definitely consider giving a like and giving a share so that more people know about the channel. So that the recommended feed goes up and Games and Groceries becomes in your recommended feed. And you're like, why is this in my recommended? And I'm like, haha, here I am. Am I going a little crazy? Yes, but before we get started with the full discussion, I know I'm just jumping right into it because I'm assuming that you're just watching this video because you want to know which one should you buy. Let me give a preface first. This isn't going to be like a fully detailed which one should you buy. I'm going to give surface level reasons why you should buy each console. The other thing that I should reiterate, I'm not going over any kind of technical specs because if you look over the technical specs of both the PS5 and the Xbox One, they're fairly similar. I feel like the PS5 has a lot more finesse, a lot more computing generations. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. And then the Xbox One is a lot more powerful in that way. But in the terms of the grand schemes, they're similar. There's nothing really too vastly different about them. And finally, don't take my word for it alone. I think this should be a video that you compile with other videos of what you should buy, that you shouldn't just take my word alone. Use this as kind of a grain of salt, but I would like to give you the surface level reasons why you would want to buy each next gen console. So with all that out of the way, I hope you're excited. Do you have your coffee? Great. Let's get started. Let's first talk about why you would want to buy the PlayStation 5. So the reason why you would want to buy a PlayStation 5, and this is a big one, you're buying the PlayStation 5 for the single player campaigns. I mean, no other console's beating it. And I'm gonna argue for Nintendo in a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, the PlayStation exclusive games are vast. So far, you've got Horizon Zero Dawn, you've got a new game of that, you've got a new God of War coming out, you've got the Ratchet and Clank games, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. The exclusive for this, little box that you're gonna buy is a lot. So if you enjoy the single player campaigns, the PlayStation 5 is for you. If you enjoy these story games, and that's why a lot of people bought a PlayStation 4, is because a lot of exclusives came out for that. And why do you buy a little console box? The exclusive games that are on it. That's why I bought a PlayStation 4. I wanted to play Spider-Man. I don't regret that purchase at all. But that's the thing, you're buying it for the exclusives. Now, talking about the DualSense controller. Now, and again, I'm going surface level here. The DualSense has a lot of nice features, the haptic feedback, the adaptive triggers, and a lot of the marketing is going for these DualSense controllers, but also keep in mind that not every single game is going to be using the DualSense's features. It's going to be exclusive titles for the PlayStation that Sony is publishing, but that doesn't mean that third parties are going to. Even first party, it doesn't mean that the first party studios are going to be using these features. So I don't want you buying a PlayStation 5 merely because the DualSense controller is going to change the way we game. Those are just going to be nice little features that we have doesn't necessarily mean that every single game is going to utilize them. So keep that in mind as well. Finally, and again, I'm being really quick about this, the decision between if you should get the disk drive version of the PlayStation or the digital version of the PlayStation. Now, which one should you buy? In my opinion, and again, go on some other videos to discuss this, I don't think it's worth it to get the digital only. I really don't. Because really, the cost difference is only $100. Digital being $400, the disk drive being $500. In my opinion, the money you would save in getting the physical editions, because physical editions you can get on other places, on Amazon, and the money you would save, you will save more than $100 in the long run. But if you're still saying, well, it's still $100 more, $100 is a lot to me, let me argue this point. If you have a PlayStation 4, let me argue that you sell that PlayStation 4, you trade it in to get at least $100 off the disc drive version, because Sony has already come out saying that all the PlayStation 4 games, I think they said 99% of them, but but all of your PlayStation 4 games will work on the PlayStation 5. And if you have PlayStation 4 discs, then you can port them over. So if you can't afford that $100 more, but you have your PlayStation 4, I would argue use that as a coupon to go in on the disc drive. The other reason why I would say go for the disc drive is because they're the exact same console. Sony has confirmed that they're using the same hardware, same CPU. Everything is the exact same on the digital and the optical drive. So why not just spend $100 more? And you're going to save more than $100, I guarantee you, in the long run of the PlayStation 5. So those are just some reasons why you should buy the PlayStation 5. Very surface level. You're buying it for, the console exclusives. Don't buy it for the controller. Go for the optical drive. But let's just move forward because I'm an Xbox boy. Ooh, I'm a Mr. Poopy Pants. I'm an Xbox boy. Why should you buy an Xbox Series X or an S? Let's talk about that. So over everything else, you're buying an Xbox Series X or an S for the value of Game Pass alone. My goodness. Okay. Fine, you're saying that Xbox doesn't have a lot of exclusives, yada yada. I can argue right back that Microsoft has bought a lot of studios, I believe 13 at this point, and a lot of exclusives are going to come out of those studios. But let's say, arguments out of the way, they don't have a lot of exclusives behind Halo and Gears of War. Have you seen Game Pass? Oh my God, there's so many games. Just go online, go on the research, and just look at the list of games that you get. And not only you get the console games, right? If you buy Game Pass Ultimate, you're going to get all these console games. You're going to get all these PC games. You're going to have xCloud that you can use on your phone. And more than that, now you're going to get EA Play. So you're going to get all the Maddens, all the FIFAs, you're going to get Mass Effect Andromeda, all those games that you don't want to spend your money on, and you get it included in your subscription. I think you're going to be buying an Xbox Series X or an S for Game Pass and to get in Microsoft's ecosystem. The other reason why you should get an Xbox Series X or an S is the backwards compatibility. If you want to play really old games, if you want to go into gaming history, I think the Xbox is the way to go in that because of the vast amount of backwards compatibility that there is. Original Xbox titles, it's very slim. I hope that they add new original Xbox titles to this new Series X or S in the near future, because when they said Splinter Cell will be the last one to go on Xbox One, I hope that's a little bit of a code that they'll add some more games from the original Xbox, but we'll see. But the amount of backwards compatibility on this machine is wild. And if you're into retro gaming, I think that's the way to go. If you like what you see in Game Pass, that's the way to go. It's the ecosystem of Microsoft that the reason why you're buying Xbox Series X. I'm into that ecosystem. I will be buying an Xbox Series X, but just like with the PlayStation, what I'm going to explain between the digital and the physical edition, hear me out now. I think that I can argue that if you've never purchased an Xbox before, if you're just new to the program, I think go for the Xbox Series S, the digital edition. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I think that if you've never played Xbox before, just get the $300 console. It's a 1440p, not similar to the way PlayStation's handling it, that they're the same console. The S is a little bit more downgraded. There's less storage space, but for $300, you buy Game Pass Ultimate for $15 a month, and you're gonna get hundreds of games. You're gonna get EA Play. You're gonna get Skate 3 for $15 a month. But I think there's a good argument just to buy that $300 console just to get into the ecosystem of Microsoft, because like what I've been arguing, the reason why you're going to get into Xbox is for the ecosystem in Xbox. And sure, you can tell me that's, oh, that's not really going to retro gaming because you can buy the old discs. You can still buy the digital editions of these games. And yes, I know game collecting, blah, 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 but I think just to get your foot in the door, if you're going to buy one of these consoles, go for the S, honestly, and just get Game Pass. And you're set. Like, you're honestly set. You buy a $300 console and you get Game Pass, and you have all these games to enjoy on your new console. I'm going to be getting a Series X. That's just my preface. And I'm going to be selling my Xbox One X, to use that as a coupon to get into the X in 2021. But that's my argument for that system. So finally, let's talk about the future of the Nintendo Switch. Why should you be purchasing a Nintendo Switch? So finally, why should you be buying a Nintendo Switch for next gen? It's been lightly confirmed by Nintendo that there's going to be a new Switch Pro. With the way the development of Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out, how Nintendo's telling everybody to make 4K optimized games, it's pretty much confirmed that there's going to be a Switch Pro. So why should you be buying a Switch Pro? Is because you can play games on the go, especially at a 4K resolution. If all this is true, I think it's true, but you're going to be playing 4K optimized games on the go without draining your battery on your phone. Because yeah, you can argue that just get xCloud, you can play it on your phone, but you're draining your phone's battery. Now, you can play games on the go without draining your phone's battery. I myself have a Switch Lite, and I play it every so often. I'm not a big Nintendo fan. I never really was that growing up, but it's still a great console to have. I still play it a good amount of times. But here's the other thing. Why I don't get into Nintendo is because I'm not a Nintendo fan. You're buying a Nintendo Switch because you love Mario, Zelda, you love those IPs. You're into Mario Kart like your boy. Mario Kart's my jam. Get out of my house. But if you're into Nintendo IPs, if you're into Nintendo branded games, if you're into Animal Crossing, that's why you're buying a Nintendo Switch. You're playing great games on the go without draining your phone's battery. You love the IPs. Now, my final argument is, if you don't have a Switch, just wait a little bit, wait till these next gen consoles come out, and wait to see that the Switch Pro has been announced. And even when the Switch Pro is announced, you might be saying, well, why not just buy the regular Nintendo Switch and just save a little bit of money? If they're going to play the same games, but the games look better on the Switch Pro,
why not just save a little bit of money and just get a regular Nintendo Switch?
if you're going to make that argument, that would be like saying, why not just get an Xbox One X when it's playing the same games as a Series X, just a little bit downgraded? It's because in the next couple years, they're going to stop making games for the Xbox One. They're going to stop making games for the normal, regular Nintendo Switch. And sooner or later, you're going to have to repurchase another Switch. So why not just save up a little bit? If you have the money now for a regular Nintendo Switch, just wait until the Switch Pro. Save a little bit more and just go for the Switch Pro. This is kind of a hard argument for me because I don't know if it's actually confirmed. I don't know if it's just rumors, but even if it's not, I still think in next gen, if the Switch Pro never comes out, I still think the Nintendo Switch is worth buying to play games on the go, and if you love those Nintendo IPs. So those are just some few basic reasons why I should be buying each console. And like I said, there's different reasons why you would want to buy these. And I think there's plenty of videos out there that will give you more information than I do. But in my opinion, I'm going to be going for an Xbox just because that's what I grew up with. I've grown up since the original Xbox. I'm just a stinky casual, Halo fan, I guess. I don't know. But I'm buying it because I love Xbox's ecosystem. I love Game Pass, and I just like having big chunky consoles in my entertainment center. I just sue me. But buy what you buy. It doesn't really matter. These consoles are the exact same price. It seems that the technology is very similar in that fashion. It doesn't really matter what you buy. What does matter is that you buy it because you enjoy what's on these consoles and what your friends are playing. It doesn't matter. If your friends are on PlayStation 5, go get a PlayStation 5. But really, look at the reasons of each console. I would say the Series S is definitely worth it. But if you're buying a PlayStation 5, go for the one with a disc drive. If you're buying a Nintendo Switch, I have a Switch Lite. I like it a lot. It gets me into the system, whatever. But that does it for me. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Which console are you buying? Are you just going to go for the PC Master Race? The reason why I didn't argue the PC Master Race because it argues for itself. I don't think I need to tell you otherwise. But the comment down below and tell me what you think. And be sure to give it a like and a share for this video if you enjoyed what you watched so that more people know about games and groceries. So, with all that said and done, I love you so much. You're so valuable. Don't forget that. And wear your mask. See you later. Oh my God.